So that's got you all excited, hopefully, and we'll go on to the tactics now. There's a whole load of these, and you really do need to take notes, please. And the first tactic is to use close-ups of faces, and if those faces are actually looking at you, making eye contact, that works wonderfully. So use close-ups on faces, preferably making eye contact. Humans have evolved to detect eye contact, and so thumbnails with eye contact are more eye-catching. It's as simple as that. It particularly works if the whites of the eyes are visible. Now, I'm sure psychologists could explain this. I can't. All I can tell you is that it works, and it does make a difference. And we know that a lot of communication between humans is reading emotional cues on the face. Have a look at these four. These are from PewDiePie, Smosh, Michelle Phan, and Cartoon Hangover. As ever in this course, four of the biggest, most successful YouTubers. And people often ask me, why do PewDiePie and Smosh and the others do so well? Well, it doesn't matter how good your video is. If your thumbnails are no good, your chances are nobody's going to watch your videos. Obviously, if you've got a great thumbnail and your video's crap, then you're not going to get very many people coming back to you and watching your video for long. But you must get the thumbnail right in the first place. And you can see these. Funny gaming montage, parents suck. There's Michelle there staring at you. There's a face there, even in a cartoon. And you can see what they look like. You can see what they're doing. So use close-ups of faces. And if you can, make eye contact, preferably showing the whites of the eyes, even for a cartoon. That works very, very well indeed. The second of these tactics is show strong emotions. So showing strong emotions is really beneficial. Strong emotions are easily identifiable, and they make make your viewer, or your potential viewer, gives them some, I suppose you'd call it a heightened emotion. They feel emotionally involved. They feel empathic. I knew I was going to have problems with the empathy. That they feel they can understand you more. There's some anger there, there's some fear there, or whatever. So any emotion can work very well. And if one of your viewers becomes emotionally connected with something, they want to feel that emotion themselves, then they're more likely to click on the video. Let's look at these. Again, the first one is from PewDiePie, one of the top guys on YouTube. Just an ordinary guy, early 20s, who makes millions a month. And you can see there scary maps. You see how the emotions are there. Next one is from Smosh. Again, emotion. I think he's being angry or about to attack me or something. This young lady is all that glitters. She's there being emotional. Look at her with her makeup. She's doing really well. And then you've got, again, I've used an example from Cartoon Hangover channel, and you can see there the cat or whatever it is. I don't really understand it, but still. But you can see the emotion in the face there. So, show strong emotions is our tactic number 2, and it really does work. Tactic number 3 is quite interesting, and that's use a bright background. Make your background very bright. So, remember that the background of YouTube is white, so if you've got a really bright background to your picture, you will not only stand out actually on the YouTube page, but also against other thumbnails that don't have a bright background. I've had enormous success using the pinwheel effect, which brings viewers' eyes back to the vanishing point. And if you don't know about that, then study that, but look at the first picture in particular. You can see that sort of windmill or sunburst or pinwheel effect there, and it really does make a difference. It's on the third thumbnail, I should say, as well. You can see what a difference that makes. So putting something like that sunburst or pinwheel or windmill behind somebody's face, it draws the attention in. If you look at that first one there, that is Ray William Johnson, you can see how you're really drawn in. Look at the third one, again with that effect. You're really drawn in. That's weird because it's got that strange picture on the left and the real person, that's Shane Dawson, on the right. You've got the young lady there playing games. I'm guessing that's from Fine Brothers, and Toboscus at the end, not using the effect, but look at the backgrounds. Really bright, really stand out. So, tactic number 3, use bright backgrounds. Tactic number 4 is using contrast and outlines. If you have a lot of contrast between the front and the background, then you get what in photographic circles is known as depth of field, so it looks like almost a 3D effect. And if you've got that depth of field, it makes the subject stand out more. These 4 examples are people who are reasonably well known, and it really does, as you can see, they stand out. Let's take the first one from Epic Rap Battles. 2 people there, obviously some sort of conflict there, 3D from the background. Second one, look how the gun stands out to you just by having the background slightly out of focus and very contrasty. That's Freddie W. Third example, Shane Dawson's thumbnail, and you can see him and the young lady, she's further away, There's some conflict there, there's a change of contrast, there's a 3D effect just by doing it that way. And then you've got a great example from Tobuscus, the fourth one there. Tobuscus is there with his mouth open looking, and there's his dog that appears in his videos, and his dog's got the same expression. He's copying his dog or his dog's copying him, that's for you to decide. But look at the contrast in the background, look at the outlines there, can you see the white frames around that? That is very, very powerful and really makes you stand out against the background, and of course makes you stand out from the other videos on that page. So tactic number 4 is use contrast and outlines. Tactic number 5 is always interesting, and there's lots of arguments about this, and it depends is the answer, and we're talking about using text. So tactic 5, usage of text. Lots of people on YouTube very successfully get away with graphics without text, so the thumbnail doesn't have any text on. I'm finding the opposite, but I say lots of very successful people are finding the opposite of me, i.e. not having any text. And general rule is, if you can follow the rest of the tactics we're showing here, then you can probably get away without text because you've got the title of the video next to it in the YouTube listings. However, I still believe, contrary to what a lot of people are telling me and what research is showing and so on, that some text is worthwhile and it can help make the picture stand out a wee bit more, particularly if you don't have fantastic graphic skills at first or the capability of paying for that or whatever. So if you're going to use text, do so, but use 3 or 4 words at the most, that's best. And the text must stand out from the background, so put contrasting colours on it, make it a bright colour, put a heavy outline on it, a line round it. Look at this one for Fast Food Wellington, you see you've got white text and you've got the black text around it. You must make it stand out from that. The video on the left is iPhone 5, that's from Smosh. The face there is in the background, you can see that the text stands out, you've got a graphic there, so it's meeting a lot of the other rules. Fast Food Wellington, I've no idea what it is. That's from Epic Meal Time. Alright, so they do all sorts of meal things. It's a great channel, and great fun. You'll spend hours looking at that one now. They've got Wellington and fast food there. I guess I know who that is on the right, but I'm not sure. But you can see how that text there really stands out. I'm not sure what it means, but if you knew the channel, then you'd know it. But if you don't know it, Fast Food Wellington, what the heck is that? That makes you, well, it makes it appealing for you, as we were showing earlier. So tactic 5, usage of text. The simple answer is that sometimes for some channels text really works, for some it doesn't do so well. Remember that you have got enormous quantities of statistics which YouTube gives you. So do a thumbnail, try it, get yourself a few hundred views, change it to a different thumbnail, in this example with or without text, see what works. That way you can tell, don't just put something up and leave it, test it. You might get 500 views in a day with one, you might get 500 views in a week with the other, but you will not know which is going to work unless you test it. It's a few seconds work to change a thumbnail, it's a few seconds work to keep a note of how long it's taking you to get, say, 500 views. You can test it very quickly, and if you do that, and all these people have tested these things, I've been testing things, we know what works, but we only find out by testing it. Change it, test things around. That brings us nicely on to tactic number 6, and this is bugs and branding. Now, a bug is the little thing you see on your TV screen sometimes that shows the name of the channel, the number of the channel that you're watching. A small thing on the screen is known as a bug, and obviously branding is essential for great thumbnails. So with the examples here, we've got some examples from Vice, who are getting bigger and bigger all the time, Mondo Media, and again I've used an example from Cartoon Hangover, which is an incredibly successful cartoon channel. So a bug or a branding on the screen, something that gives your name, really makes you stand out. For example, the Vice typeface there is very famous. If you've ever watched a Vice video, you would see that logo, you would see that branding, if you like, that particular typeface, and you'd say, oh, that's a Vice video, they're good, I want to see that again. Exactly the same with Mondo Media in the middle there, and Cartoon Hangover, their particular styling is okay. It's always the same. You can see that logo bottom left hand corner, which they invariably use, so you know, oh, that's a Cartoon Hangover. You might not even remember the name Cartoon Hangover, you may not remember Vice or Mondo Media, but you'll see that, and like most company logos, you don't actually read it, but you recognise the shape of the letters, you recognise the pattern, you recognise how you do it. Now Vice have used their own typeface there, Mondo have used a relatively straightforward typeface, just a simple sans serif, a simple straightforward typeface. But you can see how they've done it with the colours, they've done it to the left-hand side, and they've done the text from bottom to top to the left there, if you like. So although it's a normal typeface and very easy to do, the very fact they've turned it through 90 degrees, or minus 90 degrees, I should probably say, then that makes it stand out. And then again with a Cartoon Hangover, you can see they've just used the logo, and I think that's two faces looking at each other, supposed to look like a candle. Don't take me up on that, I might be wrong, but the point is it stands out. Most logos we don't take a lot of notice of. But if you can get a bug, get some branding on there, I know that in a lot of the cases your channel is new, but every channel had to start somewhere, and if you start putting those on from the start, it's very easy to do at that stage, rather than going back in future. And the quicker you get a brand, the quicker you get visible, then frankly the better that you're going to do. Now I'm going to bring on to, if I move my script out of the way, there we go, sorry about that. If we go on to tactic number 7 now, which is consistency. This is something that I see so many people fail on, and that's great, because if other people are failing on it, that means we can work it to our advantage. So consistency, like using a brand or a bug, means that people can identify your videos very quickly. So make them all look the same, even though they look different. I know that's a contradiction in terms, I hope you see what I mean. From these dozen videos here, you can see the top row there is Shane Dawson. Every single one of those is different, but you recognise him and the young lady there every time. You can recognise who they are. You'd know that's a Shane Dawson if you're a fan. If you saw several of those on a page or you've seen them in the past, you go back and see them. The second one is Epic Mealtime again. Great examples there. Very similar typeface. They got maximum, I think 3 words is the most there on the first one, 2 words on the rest. 84 egg sandwiches, 3 words, so 2 examples of 3 words. You can see the text there really stands out in 3D. It's got the outline, it's a very plain colour. The fourth example on the second row has got that pinwheel, that fan, that windmill effect behind it. So it really stands out. But you can see, although all 4 of those are completely different, you can recognise that they're consistent, they come from the same studio, from the same creator. Going to use Cartoon Hangover, again the bottom row there. Again, very different, but you can see what they've done is the pinwheel effect on nearly every one there, and we know that works. They've got the logo bottom left-hand corner, and they've got a full episode of some texting down the bottom there. They've made a bit of a mistake there, which I'll come to in a second. You can see in these examples the length of the video, the little clock in the bottom right-hand corner showing the total video length, is overlapping some of their wording. That isn't a good thing, I'll come to that in a second. But in fairness for Cartoon Hangover, you can still read on each of those full episode, minisode, making up words here, and full episode. You can still read what it says, but they could actually move that text a little bit to the left. As a standalone graphic, it looks odd, but when it's overlaid with the YouTube clock, so I'll come to it in a second, you see what difference it makes.